Hi everyone, Jody here from MethodGrid. Welcome to this MethodGrid demo webinar. Should only take about 30 minutes, and today I'm going to give you a brief overview of what MethodGrid is and dive into using the platform so you can see a little bit how it works and how simple it is to build methodologies. You'll see on the webinar screen, you should be able to see my screen here with just a presentation on it at the moment. You should also have a chat and a questions panel. If as I'm going along, you've got any questions that you want to ask, if you just type them in that questions panel, we can build them up there and then I can go over them all at the end. So as I'm going through, if you see something you think I want to ask a question about that, just quickly type it into the questions bit and I'll gather those up at the end and we'll go through them for you. Okay, without further ado, let's introduce you to MethodGrid. So MethodGrid is an enterprise methodology platform. So it's here to address one of those sort of common issues you see in many types of firms, especially in professional service firms, where what you do, a lot of it, 80% of it is stuff you've done before. And the way you do things is really your IP. It's how your firm works. It's your intellectual property. So MethodGrid has been designed to create a platform where you can capture those methodologies, be those procedures, workflows, workspaces, whatever they might be, build them up into grids, which provide a way of breaking down methodology or processes into stages and themes, and sharing it with your team and working on it collaboratively. So the system itself is based on a grid, which enables sort of a repeatable best practice and some way you can capture all your methodologies. And vitally, it's some way you can get your whole team into the platform so you can easily share and see who are experts in your firm's knowledge. So lots of companies currently using MethodGrid. The MethodGrid itself provides a pretty blank slate for what you want to work on. We provide these in the form of grids, and people are using these grids for all sorts of things. So we've got staff inductions happening on there. We've got agile collaborative workspaces like Scrum, best practice methodologies, any kind of knowledge management, really. It enables you to capture that for a consistent delivery. I'm going to go through the demo and you'll see a lot of the features, by no means all of them, but a lot of the features that make MethodGrid what it is. These are constantly being improved and worked upon, massively impacted by our users, who we encourage to feedback, to request new features, make the current features better. So we've got a basic grid system where you can capture your methodology. Within that system, we have things we call elements. And within those elements are content areas where you can capture your knowledge. You can easily clone this stuff so you don't have to keep repeating it, or you can clone instances of it for like a project delivery. And throughout the whole system, there's a way of linking your team to that knowledge. We also have checklists for sort of workflow progress tracking, and a myriad of ways of organizing this all so your team can find it easily. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to dive into MethodGrid now. So come out of this presentation and I'm going to log into our demo system here. So I'm going to go through it first as I would be as a user. So a user in MethodGrid can view any content and they can comment on content and they can interact with some content, specifically checklists, so they can tick off things that they've done. So as a user, I'm a consumer of what's in MethodGrid and I can interact through comments and checklists. Later on in this demo, I'll go in as a builder and you can see how your content creators can actually build out your methodologies. Okay, so if I'm a user, when I log in, I come to our homepage, which has got some quick links here to take you to sort of common places. Go and have a look at your profile. This can be edited. I'll come back onto that later on when we're a builder. But predominantly, everything lives in grids. So MethodGrid by its name is all built up in grids. And we organize these grids, lots of different ways you can organize them. So this is our primary grid library. And then you can create your own folder structure down here, anything you like, including subfolders and sub-subfolders. So we organize it all in folders. We can also organize things with labels. Let me find something with a label. Okay, so as well as the folder structure for grids, there's also a label structure, which you can set and configure to anything you want. There's a set of pre-configured colors. So you can see yellow is HR, blue is operations, and I can filter by these labels. So if I'm in the grid library or in my client onboarding, I can click filter and I can see anything that's in progress, and I can tick these and filter by those. And not only can I do it in a folder, I can do it across all folders. I can just tick all folders, and I want to see everything that's in progress and IT. I can do a logical operator that's or and. So maybe I want to see everything in progress and is related to IT labels. And that filters down, and I can go in and view that grid. So that's a simple way of organizing all your methodology in the grids into folders and universal labels. Quickest way as well, I can search. So if I'm interested in our project delivery, go ahead and search, and the search results are split by folders. So like you can see, it's found this project delivery folder, grids themselves, and content within the grids, the elements. So if I was looking for the project delivery methodology grid, I can go on there, and I'm now in that grid. So this grid lives in our project methodology folder, and there it is. So in the grids, we have a blank slate really when you first create one of these, and we'll see these when I go in and build some. So we have stages, columns, which could be sort of time-based stages or simply stages in a process, anything you want. And then we have themes, which are the rows, which is a way of splitting this up a little bit further. Okay, within the grid, we have elements, and there can be as many elements as you want in the cross-section of the stage and theme. And within these elements, this is where your content lives. We have multiple content areas, from documents and checklists to internal links. So in here, you'll see when we're a builder, this is completely flexible as to the content you add, but the nuts and bolts of everything in your grid is held in these elements. And I can go in and view these, and I have content in each of them. In the same way as the grids themselves could have labels, your elements within your grids can also have labels for easy sorting and sort of differentiate each other. In here I can view, so green is mandatory and red is HR. And you can set these to whatever you want on a per grid basis when you're a builder. Okay, so if I was someone delivering a project, you can, if you're a builder, you can create a core methodology, like a project delivery methodology, and then you can clone this. So if I was a user and I'd had that cloned into my Project X delivery, I can then go in and work through this grid. And perhaps I'm working on the project brief. I can get my key principles composition. I can see what element stage I've come from, what the next stage is if I want to link to. I can just click on these and it'll open up the next stage for me. Okay, images, schematics. I can also, if I'm, say I'm filling in I downloaded my template here, I just click to download and I'm filling this in. If I'm stuck at all, or I want to see who in my firm is an expert in this particular area, we have a specific expert fields where we can link to the members, your members on the platform. So if I wanted to ask a question, I can always go to Dom here. I just click on him and it'll open up his profile with various contact details. Okay, we've also got a commenting system for users. So if I had a question on this project brief, I can just go up here and hit comments and I can ask Dom a question. I can just at him. I have a question about the brief template. Can you help? I can go ahead and post that. And Dom will see that. So the whole system itself has a notification system. So in here, notifications will appear up here and I can click these and view those. If Dom isn't in the system and he misses that comment, he'll get a daily overview of any comments he's missed, and he can come in and reply to you there. So you can see as a user, I can consume all the content in here. I can interact with the content with comments. And in a short while, we'll show you checklists and you see the other way a user can interact. But if I now take you through the process of how you build this content in MethodGrid, I come in as a builder. So when I'm a builder and I land here and I go into my grids, as a user, I will see these red buttons, which are the standard user buttons. As soon as I'm a builder, I get these additional blue buttons and I can toggle any screen into an edit mode. So if I'm in a folder, for instance, say projects, and I want to create or edit this, I just flick it into edit mode. And now I can change the name. Perhaps I want it to be all projects. And I can edit that. If I've got grids in here, when I'm in edit mode, I can move them around, or I can drag and drop them into other folders and sort it any way I want. When I'm in here, if I want to add a new folder, I can go and add a new folder. And it'll add it here in my folder tree. Perhaps this is going to be Project Z. You can see how easy it is to edit these folders. I can move this around within here and put it wherever I want. Okay, dead easy to sort out. So if I come out of edit mode and go into our project delivery here, perhaps I'm going to make a new methodology for project delivery, a new master methodology, if you will. I simply click on New Grid, and I'm taken straight in to a blank grid, and I've got my stages and my themes. So perhaps this is going to be my new grid. I want to name it Team Project Delivery, and I'm going to start building out methodology for a team project delivery. So I can start to plan out my stages, and I can add these real quick. I just click through like this. So perhaps I want project startup. I can just edit these in line. Project initiation. Project delivery. And so on. Okay, and then themes, I can build down my theme content as well. So maybe I've got business case as my first theme, and I want a second. Perhaps this is risk management, and so on. And there we go. I've really quickly got a basic grid outline for this methodology. I can move these around. If I want to move, it'll move them around, and it moves everything that's in there as well. Okay, and I can move those up and down. And I can move these to different positions here as required. Okay, very quick to build a grid, as you can see. Now I can go on to show you the actual content element itself. So wherever I want a new element to appear, I can just click on Add an Element. Whenever I want to see how this grid will appear to a user, I can just drop myself out of edit mode, and I'm now viewing it as a user would see it. Okay, so let's say I want to create a new element here in my business case. Perhaps this is methodology for creating the project brief. Okay, when these come in, I've got a blank slate now to start adding in content. A method which gives you a certain amount of flexibility, certainly in the types of content areas you can add, but it's fixed enough to make it really simple to use. So I've got two columns where I can sort out my content. I can either just add content by clicking here, and it comes up here, or I can go ahead and click it there. If I add it here, it's going to come in on the right-hand side. Okay, so I can add content. I've got text areas, file upload areas where I can upload documents for people to use, experts area where I can link this element to people in my team, images if I want to embed a schematic, something like that. I can embed videos, and that's any video platform that uses the OEmbed, which is pretty much all of them. I can link to other elements, and that's not just elements in this grid. I can link to elements in other grids throughout the platform. So you can start to build up a really interlinked methodology. Weblinks, if I want to just link off somewhere external. If I'm using a cloud document management system like Google Drive or Office, I can put in an area and add links to that. And I can also have a checklist area to put in maybe a simple to-do list of things that I want people to do in this element. Okay, so if I go ahead and put a text area in here, every area has a title. So perhaps this is my key principles of my project brief, and then I've got a simple edit. I can bold, and I can type in my content here. Very simple. As soon as I click out, that's saved, and you'll see up here it's automatically saving as I go along. I don't need to save it as I go along. Perhaps I've got a best practice document that I want people to look at. So I might go in here and I can add a file upload area. Give this a title. Best practice. docs. I can give it a description if I want, and I simply click here to upload a new file. I can attach any document, PDF, doc, Excel, and put that in there, and that's now stored up here for us on our secure server. Okay, perhaps I've also got a template for this project brief. I want to add this over here. And perhaps that's in my document management system. So we use G Suite here. So I can add a Cloud Docs area. So this is project brief templates to use. I could give this an extra optional description there if I want. And then I can just link to the Cloud Docs. So maybe it's project brief template here. This is shared. It's all being taken care of in my access control in my document management system. I just need to copy the URL, put it in there, give it a title, project brief template. There we go. That's going to link off and open up my document. Okay, perhaps I want to put in here, I want to link this element to my internal expert. I can add another element area. I can add an experts area. And in here, I can say internal experts. And of course, you can name this whatever you want. Another optional description area, which is common to all these element areas. And then I just add an expert. And this is all the people that I've added to my method grid account. So perhaps Emma and Harry, my two experts in project brief and team project delivery. And now anyone viewing this, I can drop out of edit and go into view mode and see who their experts are in here. Okay, I'll have one final area just to show you the checklists. So perhaps I want people to tick off as they've completed these various items. I'll put it in over here. I can add a checklist area. Maybe call it my to-do. I can either add new checklist items, or if I have existing ones, I can bring those in from other elements that I've already created, and it will populate those there. But perhaps I have this one, so create project brief. And perhaps there's a sign-off process, project brief sign-off. And I can keep building on that. And there we go. I've really quickly built a basic element. Drop out of edit mode there. That's now saved. And I can see that how a user is going to see it. Okay, and there it is in my element. If I want to see how a user is going to see this, there it is. So now in my project delivery methodology folder, I've got my new grid. Okay, you can see up here, because this grid has a checklist, it's given me a progress report at the top there to show me how much of those checklists have been done. So 0 of 2 have been ticked in that. I'll dive into that a little bit later on. So if I go back into my grid here, if I'm now going to start populating this out with lots of content, lots of elements, I can save time by saving these elements and using them as a starting point. So if I've created this, perhaps I like this structure. This is how I'm always going to structure them. If I go into edit mode, I can save this element as a template. So I'm going to say this is my project brief. Maybe it's my project. I'll call it my team project template. Team project template, so I can find it easier. Okay, I can save that. That's now in my template library. Go ahead and show you that. So in here, I've got element layouts that I can use over and over again. So here's my project template, and you can see it's got everything in. So it brings in the headings and the descriptions and any checklists I've got, but it doesn't bring in my documents because I might want to have different documents and different elements. Okay, if I go back to my grid. So perhaps now I want to project startup, project brief. Perhaps I want to move this into project startup. I just click and drag and drop it, and there it is. If I want to create a new element in this grid, perhaps I've got to make a business case for this project. Go ahead, create a new title. Now I could just build it from scratch again, or now that I've saved it, I can either bring in the whole of the existing one, which will bring in everything that's in there, including the documents, or I can just go and find my template, use my team project template, and load that up. And there we go. Now I can start populating this one, and I've got a go-to template for each one. Okay, so as well as all the content held in our elements, I can also provide a key for these elements. So perhaps I have a code for when an element is done. If I'm going to use this for each project delivery, perhaps I'm going to clone this grid each time I deliver a team project. And I want to have a visual way of showing someone it's done and a visual way of showing something's mandatory. So when I'm a builder, when I go into edit mode, I can add labels and they're grid specific. So I might want my green to be done or complete, and perhaps red is a mandatory element. Okay, and I can keep going down there. I can also set up display rules to say, okay, well, there's 2 checklists in project brief. When all the checklists in that element are done, I want this element to change color to my done, and I can tick that on. I can either have it go to full color or just have a dot. So now I'm starting to build up a workflow progress kind of report for when I use this grid. And when you're a user, if these are different colors, I can just go in and flick down my key. If I want to actually assign a label, so perhaps project brief is mandatory, I just open it up and I can assign a label, full label. And this is now signified as mandatory. And this is completely flexible to what you want to do. Okay, so I hope you can see there how quickly I'm able to create a grid and really put some rich content in there. And this is completely flexible to your needs. Okay, so now let's say I finish my team project delivery methodology and I want to start using it. So perhaps Sam Smith is starting work on my project Z, which I've just created the folder in here. I can clone this grid, go into edit mode when I'm in the project. I can do this in the grid as well. And I can clone this grid. I can either just clone the grid so it would have the stages and themes, or I can clone it with all the elements in. So I'm going to go ahead and clone it. And now I've got a clone of team project delivery and I'm in here to start editing it. So I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it Project Z. Project Z team project delivery. And now people, whoever's working on Project Z can go through and work on this. Perhaps I want to move it into the folder. So here it is. Go into edit mode. Open up my projects. Let's move that into Project Z. Okay, now Sam Smith can come in as a user and start working on that project. Okay, so if I'm Sam Smith, in I go. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to start working on my business case. Go through. Okay, I'm going to start writing this project brief. I can open up my project brief template, clone that in my document management systems or whatever I need, download the best practice, contact Harry or Emma, comment at them, get some advice. Okay, so let's say now, create project brief. Okay, I've done that. And you can see we get a progress bar as these elements start to get completed. I can also get an overview. Elements completed. So both elements have checklists in them, but neither are completed, and one of those 4 checklists is completed. So if I'm a manager now, I can come in and view and see the progress of Project Z with my elements and checklists completed. I can also do that at the folder level. So when I'm in a folder which has got grids, which has got checklists, I can see an overview here. So I've got 1 of 4 checklist items in the elements within that grid. And we also have an overview here. So if there were multiple grids in here, so we've got Project Z team delivery, we've got Project Z client onboarding grid, Project Z, etc., etc. It'll show me all the to-dos that are in progress in each of those grids. Okay, and when I come in here, so a manager, I can sign off. Okay, project brief sign off. This element's done. It's now turned green according to my rules that I set up in my original master grid. And you could set up any rules you wanted on that, any color you like. Okay, so I hope that gives you a good idea of how users can use our grids and use method grid, and how builders, your content builders, can go in there and really quickly build these grids out. So I'll quickly touch on the members as well. So we have those 3 types of members. So we have a user. They can view, consume, comment, and complete task list items. I have builders who can build out my content. They can build grids, create folders. And then I have an architect who can do everything a builder has. They can also configure your domain and manage member permissions, manage notification settings on global, and control and configure your domain. where you want to put your logo in, that kind of thing. Okay, but the members are a key part of this to turn it into a really true knowledge management system where you can all collaborate together. Okay, I hope that's given you a little taster of Method today. If you'd like to follow up, like with a one-to-one or anything like that, that's no problem. Just go to our website, or you can just email me direct, and go to our request a demo. You can see some previous ones here, or you can just fill in this form and we can arrange a one-to-one demonstration tailored to your needs and discuss how Method can help you. I'm going to have a quick look at some questions here. I can see some coming in, so let's have a look. Okay, so when you open a template doc, link from Google Drive, and the user starts updating the doc, does it save? Yes. So to answer that question is, when I went in here, let's close this one. Let's go to my, okay, so when I went to my Project Z and I opened up this project brief template. So as soon as I leave Method and I'm into the document management system, if I had edit access, I think what you're asking is if I've got edit access to this and I started typing away, then yeah, that's going to overwrite what's there. But I mean, a simple way to get around that would be in your document management system itself. You just give read-only share access, and then they would copy that to their drive. And once it's done, the builder can upload it or simply replace that. So it's kind of just acting as a template. Or you could have done it as a download and it come down there. But really, once you leave, any access control on the documents would be handled within your whatever you're using, Office or G Suite, would all be handled in there. So you'd probably have to come up with a process for that. And the other question was, how many document management systems does it integrate with? Well, because Method is only linking to these systems, really it can integrate with any. So in its purest form, this is just a link, and it's just being clever and getting the right icon. As soon as I leave here and click there and go into the document management system, all access control is now handled by your document management system, so you haven't got any conflicts between Method and that. You're straight into the document management system. So any document management system which has a shareable web link could be used. So SharePoint has them, G Suite has them, Office 365, they all have them in some form or other. A lot of the legal-based ones now are doing it like that as well. So it's anything, if you can link to it in a document, then you can put it into one of these elements in here. You could probably even link to a shared drive, because you could use our simple web link and add a web link area. And the link URL, your IT team would be able to tell you what it is, but it'd be something like this, and then it would be and then you could link off and it could open up a shared drive, which would be even easier if you had SharePoint, because SharePoint just provides a straight URL. Then you can post that in and link and open up a whole shared drive. So really, if a document management system has a link for sharing, you can put it into an element in Method. Okay, is anyone else, any other questions? I'll kind of leave it hovering there open. I hope that's answered it for you. If you want to discuss that in more detail, then please feel free to drop me an email and I can get in touch with you after this, not a problem. If there aren't any more questions, if you want to schedule that one-on-one, go ahead and fill in this form or just email me back. My email's in the webinar is going to send you some emails, so thanking you for coming, and my email address will be in those, so just get in touch. If you want to check out some case studies, what people have been using Method for, we've got a good staff induction there, Gate 1 business incubation, a capital project delivery methodology, which is probably quite relevant to the demo I've just done from the guys at Prevelio. Also in here, we've got some example grids. These example grids have been designed so you can actually clone them into your own. So if you have a Method account, we put these all in the store here, and they're all free at this time. And you can clone these. So GDPR kind of was a hot topic. You can clone that into your grid and use it as a base. We've got some Scrum board examples as well. Okay, take a look at those example grids, take a look at some case studies. We've got some new webinars coming up. We've got it, this is an on-demand. You can watch this now whenever you want. It's an interview with Paul Wilson at Prevelio to see how they're using it for capital projects methodologies. And keep an eye on this page because there'll be some new case study ones coming up as well. Okay, if there's no more questions, thanks for coming, everyone. A replay of this is available. You get an email, tell you how to access that. Have a good day. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.